Welcome to the XTNG channel. I'm Tom, and today we're testing a highly praised carb performance upgrade, the stick metering block. The stick metering block can be installed on a PWK38, and stick recommends that all 125cc or 250C users the PWK38 version with a JD jetting kit. The stock carb on this bike happens to be a Keihin PWK38, and the installation process was straightforward. After installation, we noticed that it caused the fuel level to rise, leading to an overly rich fuel mixture at low RPMs. We then adjusted the fuel level back to its proper position. We've heard claims that the stick metering block significantly improves fuel atomization efficiency, thereby increasing engine power. However, exceptional fuel atomization efficiency can result in localized engine overheating at high RPMs, which may indirectly cause engine knock. To address this, we're using factory-recommended 98-octane gasoline for this test. Since this carb comes with a power jet circuit, we also connected the TPS system and solenoid valve system to prevent excessive richness at low RPMs. At an altitude of approximately 1,200 meters and a temperature of 17°C, 63°F, after repeated adjustments, we finalized the carburetor settings as follows: pilot jet 50, main jet 190, jet needle red, jet needle setting third clip position, air adjust screw 3 turns, JD model JDSTK1. The bike we're using is a 2017 Yamaha YZ250X with the following setup: OAM cylinder and cylinder head with 23 hours of total runtime, OAM CD it, 13 tooth front sprocket and 50 tooth rear sprocket, low flash point, Motul 710, full synthetic 2-stroke oil, fuel 98 octane, ethanol-free, unleaded gasoline, fuel to oil ratio 50:1. As usual, we'll test the bike's torque output at extremely low RPMs in both 1S and 2N gears. The lower the RPM it can sustain, the better its torque performance.
OK， 可以。我们来试一下这个1档它的性能怎么样。
Let's dive into the test. First gear, no clutch.
哦，起头还是非常好的。A， 可以。看一下它的最低转速。
Pay close attention to the tachometer readings. The engine stalled at 1,740 RPM. Let's try again and see how low the RPM can drop without stalling the engine. The altitude, slope, speed, and other data displayed on the screen are GPS data arrays provided by the Garmin camera. These are not authoritative figures and are for reference only. We can clearly feel that the low-end performance of the PWK38 is significantly inferior to that of the PWK36. The stalling RPM was 1,620. Wow. the high-end RPM continues to climb steadily. Compared to other carbs we've tested before, this top-end performance is truly impressive. However, in the torque test for first gear, the engine stalled at the same spot twice. From our perspective, to reach the top of the slope in one go without stalling, the engine RPM cannot drop below 2,000. Compared to the carbs we've tested previously, the torque performance here is undeniably poor. Now, let's proceed with the second gear test, still without using the clutch. At the point where the engine stalled, the tachometer showed 2040 RPM. The low-end torque performance is undeniably weak. We'll back up and try again. The engine stalled at 1,920 RPM. We can basically conclude that to climb the slope in one go without stalling, the engine RPM must not drop below 2,500. The top-end performance is truly exceptional. So exceptional, in fact, that I can confidently say it surpasses any 36M carb we've tested before. It's nothing short of unparalleled. The RPM climbs incredibly fast and aggressively. If you hold the throttle wide open, the engine delivers an almost terrifying amount of power, continuously and relentlessly. It's unbelievably strong. This performance owes a lot to the design of the stick metering block's internal emulsion tube distribution. It maximizes the incoming airflow in emulsion tube, enabling the fuel to atomize earlier and faster. The liquid fuel particles are broken down into incredibly fine droplets, minimizing the distance between fuel and air molecules. This creates a fully mixed air-fuel ratio, resulting in more complete combustion and more efficient power output. Thanks to this high combustion efficiency, the system is not particularly sensitive to changes in altitude or temperature. However, extreme environmental changes may still necessitate some recalibration. That said, the power band lacks linearity. I understand that some riders prefer an aggressive power band, while others favor a more linear response. There's no right or wrong perspective here. That being said, the low-end performance is undeniably poor, worse than any 36M carb we've previously tested. In conclusion, we believe the stick metering block is only suited for high-speed riding and is not ideal for challenging trails in the woods. Lastly, let's test its fuel efficiency.